Toronto Maple Leafs have made multiple moves, and one of them is very surprising, surrounding both Max Domi and prospect Nikita Grabenkin. We're going to break that down as well. I'll discuss multiple other updates we have on David Kampf as well as Austin Matthews. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into all that, if you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. And we'll be live after the game tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights. But there's a lot to go over today, and another surprising piece of news this morning dropped, and it is in the form of Max Domi. You predicted it a little bit here on the channel, and after a bunch of practices that he was missing because of maintenance, he was actually, I believe, at practice yesterday. He has officially been placed on the IR, retroactive to 4 days ago, November 16th, which means that Nikita Grabenkin has been recalled from the Toronto Marlies. And there's a lot to go over here, but at the surface, we have Nikita Grabenkin up now. You also have Fraser Minten up, who seems to factor into the lineup tonight. It's unclear at the moment if Nikita Grabenkin's going to play tonight for sure. We'll probably have another video later updating all the things on that once the coach speaks out and the lines become more clear. But there's some breaking news today. Max Domi is put on the IR, and we'll dive into it, like all the injuries in a minute here, but just a lot of injuries are starting to pile up for the Leafs, even though this one is retroactive to 4 days ago, so he only has to be on it for 3 more days.
Yeah, he should be back for Sunday, or at least that's the plan. That was the plan with Austin Matthews as well, and that hasn't gone to plan. So we'll see what happens there. But I was speculating on the channel a couple of days ago. He missed 2 practices last week, and I said, I wonder if he's dealing with some sort of injury, and it seems like that is the case. And I think I can maybe forgive him a little bit for his play as of late, and the fact that he hasn't scored if he is dealing with a nagging injury and now taking the time to just try and get back to 100%. But this is bad timing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, everything seems to be happening all at once. Austin Matthews is injured, and we don't really have any answers revolving around that. Max Domi's now down with injury. Ryan Reeves just got suspended, so you need to call up more players for that, right? So Fraser Minten looks like he will play in the lineup tonight, so that's going to be exciting to watch. And I wonder if Grabenkin, factors into the lineup as well. I think he's going to get into the lineup. There's no reason that they wouldn't call him up. And one other thing I wanted to mention too is, logically, I think the guy who should have got the call up is Alex Nylander, who's playing fantastic with the Marlies, but unfortunately, he does not have an NHL contract. It's a one-way AHL contract, so his time might come if the injuries continue to pile up like this. But for the time being, Grabenkin is up, Fraser Mitten's up. I'm excited to see what they bring to the lineup, but the Leafs are missing a couple key players.
Yeah, it's very interesting, intriguing, whatever you want to call it. And again, as they start to get bit more by the injury bug, and it's unclear exactly how severe this injury is. The fact that it's retroactive to the 16th means that it's probably nothing too crazy. But again, as you look at their lineup heading into, and luckily they're off for a very long, they've been off for a little bit now. They only play 1 game. They play Wednesday and they play Sunday. So not a lot of games on the go. So it would be the time to do this. But now you're really having to, I don't know if Brad Treliving wanted to call up all these young guys at this point of the season. He kind of spoke out and revealed that. And from a cap perspective, another $86,000 will have to be cleared to allow this transaction to happen. Matthews transferred to the LTIR. There's a lot of speculation about that happening. Now, this is it would be retroactive, and a bunch of things I'm sure will go down here. But it's possible there is as well that he is sent to the LTIR, and we'll get that in a minute. But regarding Nikita Grabenkin, it's an interesting one because he is, again, with the Leafs and is on for the morning skate. So I mean, you're looking at the lines now, and they are very different than they were at the start of the season, and they're very different than they were even just yesterday. Because now, when you're looking at it, Fraser Minten, we assume is going to play third-line center. Maybe Nikita Grabenkin will factor into the bottom 6 here. Guys are going to have to move back up with, of course, Max Domi out. What are your thoughts on Grabenkin's opportunity tonight, as well as what the lines could shape up to be in lieu of 3 regulars, borderline, a lot of regulars out for tonight's game?
So Max Domi's out tonight, and I'm assuming Grabenkin's going to get into the lineup, but obviously he's probably going to play wing. Now, we covered an article yesterday that said, I think it was from Nick Barden, but I could be mistaken. Excuse me if I'm, wrong on that, but he did say, I'm excited to see something along the lines like, I'm excited to see Fraser Minten in the top 6. And I wonder if he was onto something, because I think Fraser Minten's actually playing second line center tonight because Max Domi is out. Unless, and we'll get to this, this is a topic for a different video, another guy plays center, right? Unless that happens, but I don't see that happening right now. So I'm excited to see what the lines look like tonight, but I think Fraser Minten could factor into the second line center position, which is a little bit crazy, but they only have 1 game here this week, so they'll get some guys back from injury. But I am excited to see what Grabenkin's going to do on the wing with the NHL squad, because obviously he had a pretty electric preseason with the fight, and obviously there's a lot of hype surrounding him. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I think the most concerning part for me right now is to free up the amount of space that they need to. It looks like Matthews might have to go on LTIR, which isn't as scary as I think people, looking at this face value. I think that they can kind of, backtrack it, or it could be a retroactive to when he stopped playing, which means he would only have to do one more week on LTIR, I believe, something like that. So I don't know the exact rules or if they can do that at this moment, but I don't think it's as troubling as people think. I think he can still return at the end of next week if that was the case.
Yeah, but at least the headline of Matthews to the LTIR isn't something that is super ideal. And speaking of more injuries that I haven't discussed, you can see this here. Max Pacioretty, lower body injury, is on the LTIR, which again, that was the necessary move in order to call up Fraser Minton. And haven't gotten an update on him lately. We're hoping that he's on the way back soon as well. But you look at the injuries. Another one is David Kampf, and this one's interesting. So Brad Treliving came out yesterday and said that David Kampf may be an option to play on Sunday against Utah. So I'm hoping now that, of course, he was also put in the IR, I believe, yesterday, and all these moves. David Kampf, again, has been playing extremely well. We covered him briefly in yesterday's video, but it seems like he's going to be at least supposedly good to go on Sunday. And I think now, given all these injuries to Max Domi, to Max Pacioretty, to Austin Matthews, that if you're David Kampf, I mean, I didn't think I'd be saying this at the start of the year, but you kind of need David Kampf to be ready for Sunday. You need to provide some more depth, especially on the PK. I'm curious to see how the special teams look tonight. You're obviously missing a few of your guys. David Kampf out, and there's going to be a lot of young guys in tonight's game, and this might be the game tonight where we get to see all of the young players play, including obviously Fraser Minton and Akrita Gurbenkin. But David Kampf, I'm hoping he comes back soon, and who knows where he'd factor in if he came into the lineup. Maybe he'd move all the way up. I don't even know. Maybe the third line center would be a spot for David Kampf, given everything that's going down. But he is looking like an option to play on Sunday, which is actually a good sign, because when he was put in the IR, it was retroactive. You were a little bit concerned about where and how long he might be out, considering he's been one of the better, depth centers the Leafs have had this year.
Yeah, I mean, Kampf is going to be back Sunday, or all signs are pointing to that. And, Brad Treliving said that as well. So I'm not too worried about that. And I think Fraser Minton, with this move, I think Fraser Minton is going to play tonight, and then he's going to go back to the Marlies, because even if Max Domi's not ready to go, I think that they want to keep Gurbenkin maybe over him, because Gurbenkin has played pro before. I think they really want to take their time with Fraser Minton, and they're kind of in a pinch right now that they had to call him up because of the center situation. So if David Kampf comes back on Sunday, and I'm also assuming Max Domi's going to be back Sunday too, because it was retroactive to Saturday. So I think he can be back Sunday if he's feeling better. So the lineup could look very, very different even on Sunday, but it's certainly going to look really different tonight. And I think that's exciting, because there's a couple guys, wanting to make good impressions, like Gurbenkin, like Fraser Minton. So it's going to be an exciting game to watch in that regard. It's not just a stale, the same lineup as always Wednesday night game against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's going to have some meaning to it. So I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and most importantly, they need to get the win. But quick note, before we wrap up, you mentioned the Fraser Minton recall. Brad Treliving spoke out and basically said, to be honest, I would have preferred to leave him down there for a little bit longer. You got to be careful, especially with young guys, bumping them up and down. But he's had a great start. And then, of course, the day after this morning, they also have to call another young guy up in Nikita Gurbenkin. So let us know down below what your thoughts are on all this. A lot of things are happening right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And most importantly, they play a game tonight, and hopefully they can take care of business with the what we presume to be the young lineup. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. See you later.